So on Tuesday, we talked about the law of sines. And when we talked about the law of sines, we said in order to use the law of sines, you needed to know the measure of an angle and the length of its opposite side. And then you needed to know one other thing. So maybe we knew the measure of this angle. If we knew the measure of angle C, then we could find side C using the law of sines. If we knew side B, we could find the measure of angle B. And that was the law of sines. Well, what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about the law of cosines. And the law of cosines, obviously you're going to look at triangles and you're not always going to be given a measure of an angle and the length of its opposite side. You're not always going to be given that. Sometimes you're going to be given other pieces. Today what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about the law of cosine. And we're going to use the law of cosines to help us find just missing sides. We're not going to find missing angles with the law of cosines. We're just going to work on finding missing sides. And what specifically we're going to look at is we're going to say, okay, what if I'm given B and C along with the measure of angle A, and we're asked to find the length side A. So we're not going to be given the length of a side and an opposite angle. We're just going to be given a side, an angle, and a side. And that's when we're going to use the law of cosine, and we're going to use the formula for the law of cosine. So in your notes, you should have law of cosine in there right now. You should have the drawing ABC with capital letters for your angles, and then label these as well. But then what I want you to highlight in your notes is I just want you to highlight or circle where I have the green at. Because in order to use the law of cosines today, you have to know a side, an angle, and a side. Those three things are a must. And again, what we're going to try to find today is we're going to be working on how do we go about finding this opposite side. Okay? We could find angles and we could do all of those things, and we'll talk about it, but we're not going to do it. We're just going to work on finding that. And in order to do this, you have to have side, angle, side. Now notice that this angle is between my two given sides. That has to happen. Again, we'll talk about it in a second. When this happens, here's our formula. The law of cosine says this for any triangle. A squared is equal to B squared plus C squared minus 2BC times the cosine of A. In every one of the examples that we're going to do today, you're going to find that A value. You're going to be given the B and the C and the measure of the angle A. Those are the things you are going to be given. Now, keep in mind that if we took this drawing, I could write the law of cosine with this drawing. I could write the cosine in different ways, and I don't want you to write this down. But I could say that B squared, and I just want you to watch this, don't write this down. I could say B squared, which is this side right here. I could say that that is equal to A squared plus C squared minus 2AC times the cosine of B. So B squared is equal to A squared plus C squared minus 2AC times the cosine of that angle. I could also do this for C squared as well. And just kind of think about it. Again, I don't want you to write it down, but just kind of if I used C squared. Okay, so that means I know this angle. I know angle C. So then this would be a squared plus b squared minus 2ab times the cosine of c. Moral of the story. What's going to go on the left-hand side is the side that you're trying to find. What's going to go on the right-hand side is all the stuff that's going to be given to you today. So let's look at the first example. Let's look at this one. So I've got sides of 7 and 12. I've got an included angle of 65. We want to find x. There's no a's, there's no b's, there's no c's in any of this. Okay? The law of cosine says that the side opposite our known angle. What's the length of the side opposite our known angle? Do we know it? We don't know it. It's just x. So the law of cosine says that we are going to take x squared. It's the side opposite our given angle squared is equal to the length of the two sides that surround our given angle. So 7 squared plus 12 squared. If you put 7 squared plus 12 squared or 12 squared plus 7 squared, it does not matter. It's the same thing. Minus 2. It's always 2. It's always minus 2. Now we're going to take the 7 and we're going to take the 12. And then we're going to take that times the cosine of the angle that we know. And the only angle that we know is 65. So now you need a calculator to do these. Now in your calculator, if you need a calculator, you need to come over here and grab one. In the calculator, my suggestion to you, type it in exactly like that. Hit 7, hit the squared key. So here's 7 squared plus 12, hit the squared key. Hit minus 2, and then after the minus 2, hit an open parentheses. So put the parentheses in there. Just do it exactly like that. Parentheses 7, parentheses 12, and then cosine 65. Close the parentheses, hit equals. Now just leave that there. You should have something like 122. And then there's a whole bunch of zeros here. I think one more zero, and then like a 1. Now what I want you to do today, round this to the nearest tenth. You're going to round this to the nearest tenth. So mine would just be, so this would just be that. Am I done solving yet? How do I solve it? Take the square root, right? So we have to take the square root of both sides. Square root of x squared is just x. The square root of 122 is 11. And again, round to the nearest tenth. Okay, so this is just 11.0. That's the length of that side using the law of cosines. But now here's the thing. If I know the length of that side, if I know this is 11, now notice I know the measure of an angle and the length of its opposite side. I could say that I can use the law of sine. Sine of 65 over 11 is going to be the sine of, we'll call that c, over 7. We could use the law of sine now. You're not going to have to do that. You don't have to do that today. But we could. And then I find the measure of that angle, whatever that is. And then we can subtract it from 180 to get the third one. So, I mean, the law of cosine, really, you use it once and then you use the law of sines. But we're just working on the first part of this today, not that second part. Okay, so let's look at the next one. We'll do this one together as well. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I can use the law of cosines. In order to use the law of cosines, my angle needs to be created by the two sides that I know. And it is. Okay, so we can use the law of cosines. So the side opposite my known angle squared is going to equal my known sides squared, so 20 squared plus 25 squared, minus 2, because that's our formula, times 20 times 25 times the cosine of my known angle, which is 108. I break out my trusty dusty calculator. I'm careful when I'm putting stuff in. So 20 squared plus 25 squared minus 2, parentheses 20, parentheses 25, cosine 108, close my parenthesis. Maybe. I don't think I did it right. I hit cosine of 180. Let's go 108 instead. 1,411.3. Yes? 1,411.3. Is that right? I don't know. I'm asking because I may have screwed it up. Did anybody do it? Is that what it is? That's why I asked. Well, so 20 squared plus 25 squared minus 2 times 20 times 25 times the cosine of 108. So 1,334. Does that sound better? Those of you that actually did it? .01, so 0.0. Okay. It's always good to check your math. Square root of that is 36.5. And there's your solution. Okay. Moral of the story, be careful when you're doing these. Not a bad idea to double check. Hey, would I have known I was wrong if you guys didn't tell me? Probably not. No. But the answers are going to be given to you due today. So if you did get the wrong answer and you're looking at the answers, and I'll talk about that in just a second, go back and find out what you did. Also, those of you that are turning in work when you're just giving me answers, that's not going to fly anymore. Okay? I'm going to send it back to you and say redo it. I know I'm giving you guys the answers, but you can't find the answers without doing the work. Okay? Make sure you're doing the work. All right, so let's look at number 3. So here's what I want you to do with number 3. With this one, I want you to set it up. So x squared equals, and so on and so forth. Once you've got it set up, then stop. So I want to make sure you have it set up correctly first, and then we'll do the calculations. Give you about 30 seconds. Okay, peek up real quick. Make sure you have it set up right. X squared equals 13 squared plus 17 squared minus 2, 13, 17, cosine of 34. Okay, now go ahead and figure out what your x is equal to. 9.6. Should have got 9.6. Okay. Questions with that one? Last one we're going to do. All right. Take number 4 from beginning to end, and this is the last one we're going to do. Find the value of x using the law of cosine. Okay, answers on the board. Check, see how you did. Any questions? All right, so the worksheet you're going to get today, the worksheet today is going to just be all law of cosines. Now, the front side it says find AB. So just like the other day, you have to put where that's at. On the back side, it says for like number 7, find the measure of angle B. That's not what I want you to do. You need to find the missing side opposite of the angle that we're given. Okay, so the front side and the back side are done exactly the same. Don't follow the directions on the back side where it says find the missing angle. We're not going to do that type of question. So just change those, change the directions to the same as the front. Okay, here's that worksheet. Yeah, there we go.